The galaxy had been quiet for nearly a century. Humans had learned to live among the stars, trading and exploring without disturbing the ancient alien empires that ruled most of the universe. But peace never lasted long. When the starship Odyssey 9 entered the forbidden system of Valerian, everything changed. The Valerian Empire was led by an alien queen known as Sarathis, a powerful and mysterious ruler whose beauty and intelligence were known across the galaxy. Her daughters, the three princesses of Valerian, were seen as living goddesses, never to be touched or even spoken to by outsiders. But the humans did not know that. Commander Ethan Hale was the captain of Odyssey 9, a young and daring explorer who believed that no world should be beyond discovery. When his ship detected strange energy signals from the Valerian system, he decided to investigate. The crew warned him not to. The legends about the Valerians were clear. They destroyed anyone who entered their space without permission. Still, Ethan ordered his crew forward. "We're explorers," he said calmly. "We seek knowledge, not war." The ship broke through the ion clouds and entered orbit around Valerian Prime, a glowing emerald planet surrounded by golden storms. What they saw below was breathtaking. Massive crystal cities floated in the air, and alien architecture shimmered like light trapped inside glass. But as soon as they arrived, the communication screens came alive. An alien face appeared, silver skin, glowing blue eyes, and a voice like music mixed with thunder. "You have violated the sacred border of the Valerian Empire," she said. "You will power down your vessel and await judgment." Ethan stood tall. "We mean no harm. We come in peace." "Peace is not yours to offer," the voice replied. Moments later, hundreds of alien ships appeared surrounding Odyssey 9 like wolves around prey. The human crew prepared for the worst. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and trapped. Then something strange happened. Before any shot was fired, the Queen herself commanded all ships to stop. Her daughters had sensed something unusual aboard the human vessel. A signal, a resonance, a voice they could not explain. Against all rules, they requested permission to meet the human commander. Queen Sarathis hesitated. It was forbidden, but the daughters were strong-willed and their curiosity could not be silenced. Finally, she agreed, under strict supervision. Ethan Hale was brought before the royal court of Valerian, escorted through golden halls and luminous corridors. The air shimmered with energy, and alien guards watched him with glowing eyes. When he entered the throne room, he froze. The queen sat upon a throne that looked carved from light itself. Her daughter stood beside her, three tall, elegant figures with silver blue skin and eyes like stars. They were unlike anything Ethan had ever seen, powerful, graceful, and strangely human in their expressions. The queen spoke first. "Human, your kind is reckless. Why do you trespass on sacred ground?" Ethan bowed his head. "Because we seek knowledge, not conquest." The queen's gaze sharpened. "Knowledge has a price. Are you prepared to pay it?" Before he could answer, one of the daughters, the youngest, stepped forward. Her name was Lyrath. Her voice was soft but steady. "Mother, I sense truth in him. He is not like the others we've met." The queen turned toward her daughter, surprised by her defense. "You dare speak for a human?" But Lyrath didn't back down. "Perhaps this one is different, perhaps destiny brought him here." The queen remained silent, her expression unreadable. After a long pause, she gave her command. "Very well. You will remain on Valerian until I decide your fate." Ethan was escorted to the palace's inner chambers, guarded but unharmed. Days passed. The daughters visited him often, curious about his stories of Earth, oceans, music, and the endless blue sky. They asked questions, laughed, and listened with fascination. Ethan tried to maintain his distance. He knew it was dangerous, and not just for him, but for them as well. Yet every conversation drew them closer. Meanwhile, the queen watched silently from afar. She could see the bond forming, and deep within she felt a rising storm. Humans were dangerous not because of their weapons, but because of their hearts, because they could change anyone who dared to care for them. And soon, the change would ignite a war unlike any other. Days turned into weeks on the alien world of Valerian. Commander Ethan Hale remained under palace watch, but his life was far from ordinary captivity. The queen had ordered her guards to monitor him at all times, yet her daughters continued to visit him whenever they could. They were fascinated by his humanity, his stories, his courage, his sense of wonder. In return, Ethan learned about their world, how the Valerians lived in harmony with their planet, how their cities floated above the clouds, and how their people believed emotions were a weakness. But to Ethan, emotions were everything. The youngest princess, Lirith, spent the most time with him. She would bring him books of glowing script and ask about Earth's music and art. "Why do humans create songs about sadness?" she once asked. Ethan smiled softly. "Because sometimes sadness reminds us that we are alive. Even pain has beauty." Lirith looked at him with quiet wonder. For her, emotions were new territory, powerful and dangerous. But his words stayed in her mind long after she left the room. The second daughter, Soraya, was more direct. She admired Ethan's strength and bravery. "You stood before my mother without fear," she said one night as they looked at the twin moons through the glass wall. "Most would have fallen to their knees." "I was afraid," Ethan admitted, "but I couldn't show it." "Fear only controls you if you let it," she nodded slowly. "Humans are strange. You feel fear, yet you act as if it's nothing." The eldest, Vera, was cautious. She rarely spoke, but she observed everything. She saw how her sisters looked at the human and how he looked at them. Something was forming, something forbidden, and she knew their mother would never forgive it. One evening, the queen summoned her daughters to the royal chamber. Her presence was overwhelming. The air shimmered around her throne. "You visit the human too often," she said coldly. "He is not one of us." Lirith lowered her head. "We only seek to understand him, mother." The queen's eyes flashed. "Understand him? Or are you beginning to feel for him?" The daughter said nothing, but silence was its own answer. The queen rose from her throne. "Humans bring chaos." Their emotions spread like infection. "You will stay away from him, all of you." Her command was final. Guards were doubled. The doors to Ethan's chamber were sealed. He could no longer see the princesses, though sometimes he could hear faint echoes of footsteps outside his cell. Still, he refused to give up hope. He spent his time sketching images of Earth in the glowing dust on the floor, the oceans, the mountains, the stars. One night, a faint light appeared in his room. It was Lirith. She had bypassed the guards using her telepathic powers. "I couldn't stay away," she whispered. Ethan looked up, surprised but relieved. "Lirith, your mother—" "I know," she interrupted. "But I had to see you. I can't explain it. When I'm near you, I feel something. Something alive." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "That's what humans call love." She blinked, the word strange yet beautiful. "Love," she repeated quietly, as if testing it. "We were told love is dangerous." "It is," Ethan said softly. "But it's also what makes life worth living." Their eyes met, and for a moment the galaxy seemed to stop. Lirith reached out and touched his hand, where her skin cool, glowing faintly blue. A wave of warmth passed between them. In that instant, something changed. Over the next few nights, the other sisters visited too. Soraya came to speak of destiny and choice. Vera came only once, standing in silence before finally saying, "You've already changed us, human. None of us will ever be the same." Ethan didn't know what to say. He had never meant to disrupt their lives, only to understand them. But now he was part of something much larger, a secret that could destroy him if the queen ever found out. Meanwhile, whispers began spreading among the palace guards. Strange energy readings surrounded the royal quarters. The queen sensed it too, an unfamiliar vibration echoing through the halls. Late one night, she entered the observatory where the stars reflected off the crystal walls. She closed her eyes, feeling the pulse of the world itself. Something ancient stirred within the energy fields. Her daughters were hiding something. The queen's fury burned silently as she summoned her council. "The human must be removed," she said coldly, "before he corrupts what is sacred." But it was already too late. In the deepest chambers of the palace under the twin moons of Valerian, the forbidden bond between human and alien royalty had already begun to grow, a connection that would soon defy the laws of their world and threaten to tear an empire apart. And as the queen prepared her next move, destiny itself began to shift. The palace of Valerian had never been so quiet. The corridors that once shimmered with song now echoed with silence and unease. The guards spoke little, the servants moved faster, and even the air felt heavy, as if it carried a secret too dangerous to name. Queen Sarathis felt it in every corner of her empire. Something was wrong. Her daughters were different. Their energy was shifting. And the human, that strange man from the stars, was at the center of it. She stood at her throne, eyes glowing faintly blue, watching the holographic projection of her world. Her advisor, General Hale, approached and bowed deeply. "Your Majesty, the readings around the royal chambers are unstable. The energy fields are unusual." "Unusual how?" she asked sharply. "They resonate with human frequency," Kyle replied. "It's impossible, yet the evidence is clear." The Queen's fingers tightened around the edge of her throne. "Find out what he has done." Meanwhile, Ethan remained in his quarters, unaware of the growing storm. He had seen none of the princesses for several days. The silence worried him more than any threat. Then one night the door slid open. It was Soraya, the second daughter, her face pale and serious. "Ethan," she whispered, "you must be careful. Mother suspects something." Ethan frowned. "Suspects what?" Soraya hesitated. "She feels the energy that connects you to us. It grows stronger every day. She believes you have used some kind of human trick." Ethan shook his head. "No tricks. Only feelings," Soraya sighed softly. "Feelings are forbidden here. But what has happened? It cannot be undone." Her words carried weight, more than he realized. As Soraya left, Ethan's mind filled with worry. He didn't understand the full truth, but he could feel something different in the air, a quiet hum that seemed to follow him wherever he went. The next morning, Queen Sarathis called for her daughters. They stood before her throne, heads lowered. "You have disobeyed me," she said coldly. You continued to meet the human. None of them spoke. The Queen's eyes narrowed as she stepped down from her throne, her presence filling the room like a storm. "You thought you could hide your emotions from me?" she continued. "I feel them. Confusion, longing, love." Her gaze stopped on Lyrith, the youngest. "You were always the most reckless." Lyrith's voice trembled, but she stood firm. "Mother, I only wanted to understand him. He showed me kindness, not power. He made me see that strength is not only in the mind, but in the heart." The Queen's voice rose. "The heart is weakness. It is what destroyed the old empires before us. Have you learned nothing?" Lyrith met her gaze. "Maybe weakness is what makes us alive." The room fell silent. The guards looked away, too afraid to breathe. Queen Sarathis turned sharply to General Hale. "Bring the human to me. Now." Within minutes, Ethan was escorted into the throne room. The Queen's presence hit him like a wave of cold fire. She circled him slowly, studying him as though he were a dangerous weapon. "You have caused disorder in my house," she said. "My daughters act against me. My empire questions my rule, all because of you." Ethan kept his head high. "I never meant to cause harm. I only treated them as equals." The Queen's eyes glowed brighter. "Equals? You are human. They are royal blood. You dare speak of equality?" Ethan stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. "Maybe that's the problem. You see differences, I see souls. We all feel. We all dream." For a moment, even the Queen faltered. His words were simple, but they struck deep. Around her throne, the energy shimmered, a strange pulse between human and alien frequencies. Then suddenly, the Queen gasped. The energy field flared, and all three daughters winced in pain. A flash of light burst around them, bright, warm, and alive. The Queen's expression shifted from anger to shock. "What have you done?" The royal healers rushed in, scanning the princesses with glowing devices. The readings made no sense. A blend of Valerian and human energy signatures. General Hale looked stunned. "Your Majesty, this cannot be. The readings suggest creation." The Queen's voice cracked like thunder. "Speak clearly." "They are carrying life," Hale said quietly. "New life." The Queen froze. Her gaze snapped to Ethan, rage and disbelief twisting her face. Impossible. No human could. But the energy patterns didn't lie. Her daughters stood trembling, their expressions mixed with fear and wonder. Lyrith whispered, "Mother, it's true. Something inside us is changing." The Queen's voice dropped to a whisper full of dread. You have brought corruption into my bloodline." She turned to the guards. "Take him away now." Ethan didn't resist. As they dragged him out, he looked back once at Lyrith, whose eyes were full of tears. He understood then that something extraordinary had begun. something neither human nor alien could have predicted. And as the palace lights dimmed, the queen sat on her throne, her mind torn between fury and fear. For the first time in her life, she felt something she couldn't control: uncertainty. Deep within her heart, she knew this human had changed everything. The cell was quiet, lit only by a thin beam of blue light from the ceiling. Ethan Hale sat on the cold metal floor, his wrists bound by glowing cuffs that hummed softly. He had been silent for hours, thinking about what had happened. The queen's words still echoed in his mind. "You have brought corruption into my bloodline." Outside, guards stood at every corner. He could hear the faint hum of alien machinery and the low voices of soldiers speaking in Valerian language. He didn't understand their words, but he could feel their fear. They were afraid of him. He closed his eyes, remembering the look on Lirith's face when the guards pulled him away. There had been tears in her eyes, and something else, something like hope. Far above, in the royal tower, Queen Sarathis stood before a council of advisors. The air was tense. Every elder in the room could feel the strange new energy flowing through the palace. "This cannot be allowed," said one of the elders. "The human's existence now threatens our bloodline." Another added, "The daughter's energy fields are unstable. The unborn energy within them carries human DNA. It is unclean." The queen's eyes were cold, but her voice was controlled. "If what you say is true, then this man has done the impossible. And if he can change us, he can destroy us." The eldest advisor leaned forward. "Then destroy him first." The queen turned toward the window, looking out over her shining cities. The golden clouds moved slowly beneath her palace. "No," she said at last. "If he could create life between our species, I must understand how. He will not die yet." She ordered that Ethan be kept alive, but isolated, studied, tested. Down in the cell, hours passed like days. Ethan was taken by guards to a bright white chamber filled with floating machines. The queen watched through a transparent wall as her scientists scanned him. "His body is fragile," one scientist said, "yet his cells adapt quickly. His DNA resonates with Valerian energy. This should not be possible." The queen's voice was calm but sharp. "And the children? They are growing inside the princesses at an unusual rate," the scientist replied. "If this continues, they may reach full development in half the normal time." The queen stayed silent for a long moment. "Monitor them closely. If there is danger to my daughters, you will end it." Ethan heard her words and spoke up for the first time. "You're talking about ending lives that haven't even begun." The queen looked at him through the glass. "They are not lives. They are mistakes." He met her eyes. "Maybe they're the beginning of something greater. Maybe this is what your world needed, the change." Her jaw tightened. Humans always speak of change. Change is chaos. "Maybe," Ethan said softly. "But sometimes chaos brings life." The queen turned away, but her heart was not as firm as her words. For the first time, she felt a strange doubt, a whisper inside her mind that asked if this human might be right. That night, the daughters gathered in secret. The guards tried to keep them apart, but they had powers beyond what even their mother knew. Lirith, Soraya, and Vera sat together in the silent chamber, surrounded by a soft glow from their bodies. The light pulsed gently, 3 hearts beating in rhythm. Lirith whispered, "He suffers because of us. We cannot let him die." Soraya nodded. "Mother will not listen. We must act." Vera, the eldest, looked at them both. "If we defy her again, it means exile, maybe death." Lirith's voice trembled. "I would rather die free than live in fear." For a long time, they sat in silence. Then Vera finally spoke. "There may be a way. Our ancient legends speak of the Stargate beneath the palace, a portal to the hidden world of the firstborn. It could take us far from here, beyond Mother's reach." Lirith's eyes widened. "Can it be opened?" "Only with combined energy," Vera said. "All 3 of us together." The plan was dangerous, but it was their only chance. As dawn broke, they acted. The palace trembled as soft blue light spread from the lower chambers. The guards rushed to respond, but the sisters had already disappeared into the ancient tunnels beneath the city. In the lab above, alarms blared. The queen turned sharply toward the scientists. "What is happening?" "Energy surge beneath the palace," one shouted. "It's coming from your daughters." The queen's expression turned to fury. "Find them and bring the human. They are trying to escape." Guards stormed the lower halls, their footsteps echoing through the metal corridors. In the confusion, a young servant who pitied Ethan unlocked his cell. "Go," the servant whispered. "The princesses are waiting for you." Ethan hesitated for only a moment before running through the halls, guided by the flickering blue light. The air buzzed with energy, and he could feel the pull of something powerful ahead, like the heartbeat of the world itself. He didn't know where this would lead. He only knew he had to reach them before the Queen did. Above them all, Queen Serathis stood at her balcony, watching the storm of light spreading from below. Her voice was cold, but her eyes betrayed fear. "Human," she whispered to herself. "What have you done to my world?" The tunnels beneath the palace were ancient, older than the empire itself. Walls of glowing crystal pulsed with faint blue veins of energy. The air was warm and alive, filled with the hum of forgotten power. Ethan ran through the winding corridors, guided by the light that shimmered ahead. The sound of distant alarms followed him. Heavy footsteps, commands shouted in the alien tongue. The Queen's army closing in. When he reached the central chamber, he froze in awe. It was vast, a cathedral carved into the planet's heart. In the middle stood a massive circular structure made of golden stone and energy coils, suspended by beams of light. Symbols glowed across its surface, strange and beautiful like stars drawn by gods. The three daughters stood before it, their forms shining with pure energy. "Ethan," Lyrith called, her face lighting up when she saw him. "You came. I told you I'd find you," he said, catching his breath. Farah's voice was urgent. "We don't have much time. The Stargate is waking, but we need your help to stabilize it." Ethan looked confused. "My help? I don't even know what this thing is." Soraya stepped forward, her eyes glowing bright. "It responds to life force, emotion, connection, trust. It is powered by what we feel." Lyrith smiled faintly. "And no one feels like you, Ethan." He didn't understand how, but he nodded. "Tell me what to do." The sisters took their positions around the gate. Ethan moved to the center. The air began to vibrate, soft at first, then louder like the beating of 1,000 hearts. Light rippled through the chamber, filling it with warmth. Above them, a voice thundered through the halls. The Queen's voice. "Stop this madness. You will destroy everything." Her guards appeared at the entrance, their weapons glowing. The Queen stepped forward, her armor shining like molten silver. Her expression was fury and heartbreak combined. "Lyrith, Soraya, Farah," she shouted. "Step away from him. You are my blood." Lyrith turned to face her. "And that's why we must do this, Mother. You rule with fear, but we want to live with love." The Queen's voice broke. "Love is weakness." "Then let us be weak," Lyrith said quietly. The Queen raised her hand. "Guards, seize them." Before the soldiers could move, the Stargate blazed with light. Energy rushed through the air like a storm. The walls shook, dust falling from the ceiling. Ethan felt a surge inside him, part pain, part power. His heart raced faster and faster. The gate pulsed in response, mirroring his heartbeat. The sisters joined hands, their voices soft and melodic, chanting in their native tongue. The symbols on the gate spun faster, glowing with fierce golden light. "Ethan," Soraya shouted over the roar. "Think of something pure, something worth saving." He closed his eyes and thought of Earth, the oceans, the blue sky, the laughter of people who still believed in hope. Then he thought of Lyrith, her courage, her kindness, her belief that love could change everything. The gate responded. The light turned white-hot, blinding and beautiful. The Queen shielded her eyes, shouting, "You'll destroy yourselves." Ethan opened his eyes and met her gaze through the light. "Maybe, or maybe we'll save something bigger than both of us." The floor cracked beneath them. A vortex opened inside the ring, a swirling portal of stars and energy. The guards stumbled back. Too afraid to move closer, Lyrith looked at Ethan. "We must go now." He hesitated, looking back at the Queen. For all her cruelty, he saw pain in her eyes, not hatred but loss. "Come with us," Ethan said to her. "You don't have to rule through fear anymore." The Queen's lips trembled. For a second she looked uncertain, but pride held her still. "My place is here." A tear slid down Lyrith's cheek. "Then goodbye, Mother." The Queen reached out a hand, but it was too late. The sisters and Ethan stepped into the light. The chamber exploded in a wave of energy, throwing the guards off their feet. The Stargate roared like a living thing as the portal swallowed them whole. and then in an instant it vanished. Silence returned to the ruins beneath the palace. Only the echo of the queen's voice remained soft and broken. "My daughters," she whispered. Outside, the skies of Valarian trembled with strange colors, blue and gold twisting together. Across the empire, machines flickered and power grids failed. The balance of the world had changed. Queen Sarathis stood alone before the quiet Stargate. The light had gone out, but the air still felt warm as if touched by life. She placed a hand on the cold surface and whispered, "Where have you gone, human? What have you taken from me?" But deep inside, she already knew. He had taken her daughters, and perhaps a part of her heart, and far away beyond the stars. The Stargate carried Ethan and the princesses to a new world, a world untouched, waiting for their arrival. The light from the Stargate faded slowly. Ethan opened his eyes and gasped. They were standing on the surface of a strange and beautiful world. The sky glowed with 3 suns, and rivers of light flowed across the land like glowing veins. The air was warm and filled with soft humming sounds, as if the planet itself was alive. Lirath looked around, eyes wide with wonder. "Where are we?" Vera studied the air. "The readings are stable. We're safe, but this world is unknown." Soraya closed her eyes, feeling the energy beneath her feet. "This is not just a planet. It's alive. The legend said the firstborn once created a sanctuary beyond space. I think we found it." Ethan looked up at the sky. "A new beginning," he whispered. The sisters smiled faintly. They had escaped their mother's empire, but the journey had changed them. The glowing light around their bodies was stronger now, pulsing in rhythm with the tiny energies growing inside them. The children, who were half human, half Valarian, they built a small shelter near a glowing waterfall. The planet seemed to welcome them, the ground soft underfoot, the air easy to breathe. Strange silver trees bent toward them as if curious about their presence. Days passed. Ethan worked tirelessly to build tools, to gather food, and to learn the rhythm of this new world. The sisters helped him, their powers shaping light into solid form. Together they made a home. At night they would sit beneath the glowing stars, talking softly. Ethan often told them stories about Earth, about the oceans, the rain and the blue skies that stretched forever. The sisters listened with quiet fascination. One night, as they watched the twin moons rise, Lirath placed her hand on her stomach. A soft glow spread beneath her fingers. "They are growing," she said. Ethan smiled. "They'll be the first of their kind," Vera nodded. The bridge between 2 worlds. But even as peace settled over their small home, far away in the galaxy, the Queen had not forgotten them. On Valarian, Queen Sarathis stood in the great observatory watching the stars. Her empire had begun to weaken. Some of her people questioned her leadership. Others whispered that the Queen had lost her daughters, and with them the favor of the universe. She could still feel them faintly, a distant heartbeat through the void. A part of her wanted to destroy that connection, to erase the shame. Another part, smaller but stronger, only wanted to see them again. One night she activated the ancient beacon. The Stargate flickered once more, its light trembling as if remembering. She placed her hand on its surface and whispered, "Show me where they are." The gate responded with a soft hum. In its reflection she saw them, alive, smiling, standing beside the human. Tears filled her eyes. "My daughters," she whispered, voice breaking. "You have made your choice." For a long time she stood in silence, staring at the image. Then she turned to her general. "Prepare a ship," she said. "I am going to them." Across the galaxy, the skies above the new world shimmered as a tear in space appeared. The Queen's ship descended slowly, glowing like a falling star. Ethan and the sisters stood together, watching as it landed nearby. Lirath's voice shook. "She found us." Vera stepped forward. "Then we face her, together." The Queen emerged from her ship, her armor shining in the light of 3 suns. For a moment no one spoke. Then slowly she removed her crown and placed it on the ground. "I did not come to fight," she said softly. Ethan looked cautious but calm. "Then why are you here?" The Queen's eyes softened as she looked at her daughters. "Because I was wrong. I thought love was weakness, but I see now it gave you strength. You found something even I could not understand." Lirath stepped closer, tears in her eyes. "Mother, we never wanted to destroy your world. We just wanted to live free." The Queen nodded slowly. "And you did?" You created life where there should have been none. Perhaps that is not a curse, but a gift. She looked at Ethan, her gaze sharp but not cruel. You changed everything, human. You defied me, and yet, somehow, you saved us all. Ethan bowed his head. Maybe we can start again. Not as enemies, but as family. The Queen's eyes glistened. Family, she whispered, tasting the word like it was new to her. Then she reached out and touched her daughter's hands. A surge of light passed through them all. A bond reforged. Above them, the sky blazed brighter. The planet responded to their unity. Rivers of light spread across the land, painting the horizon with gold. The hum of life grew louder as if celebrating the moment. The Queen smiled for the first time in ages. Perhaps the future belongs to those who dare to love. Ethan looked at her and said quietly, "That's what being human means." The Queen turned toward the horizon. Then maybe it's time I learn. As the three suns rose higher, Ethan and the alien Queen stood side by side, no longer enemies, but part of the same story. And so began a new chapter for both species, a world where human hearts and alien minds would grow together, where love had rewritten the laws of the universe. The legend of the human who defied the alien Queen would echo through galaxies for centuries to come, a tale not of war, but of change, hope, and the power that binds all life together.